ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools, they're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans, kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process. Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government.
We're watching what appears to be ICE agents approaching towards where our camera is. They're going to be armed. We have somebody in custody right now. I heard him saying, I wasn't throwing nothing, it wasn't me.
Laura, it looks like they have 2 people in custody. We are continuing to reach out to the Minneapolis Police Department to try to find out exactly what happened tonight.
Shame on you! Why? Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you, you motherfucker!
The DHS says that this was a targeted enforcement operation and that the ICE officer was attacked. And I do think that that is exactly the type of situation that we want as few of those situations as possible to transpire. And yet it seems like all the time there are all kinds of interactions happening where ICE officers are put in danger. And I'm not sure if it's all just because of, violent people attacking them. Sometimes it's also the tactics that I think are putting them at risk. With vehicle stops, which have been some reporting about how these vehicle stops are so dangerous, and more of them are happening.
What's up, family? So we got to talk about yet another shooting out in Minneapolis involving ICE. And once again, it's the same tired story. These radical, unhinged leftist folks just will not leave ICE alone. Like, bro, they will not let these agents do their jobs in peace. And you got people literally interfering with law enforcement, jumping in the way of federal agents, and then turning around surprised when stuff pops off. Like, nah, let's call it what it is. You guys are playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes. You're out here treating ICE like the bad guys when all they doing is enforcing the law. And laws that already exist. Laws that presidents, Congress, and voters put in place. And then when somebody runs up on ICE with a shovel, and yes, I said shovel for the people in the back, and then they get handled. Oh, now and everybody want to play victim. They want to run into the Victim Olympics. Well, please, I'm supposed to feel bad for that? Because at this point, it's like you choose, or y'all chose, or you chose chaos. In this case, the person that's obviously doing the agent of chaos action. And the thing is, this ain't even new. Every time this administration tries to enforce immigration law, you got these leftist crybabies trying to block it, protest it, throw fits in the street. All emotional, like facts don't matter. And look, I'm all for protesting in peace if that's what you want to do, but do not impede into a federal investigation, right? Or I should say enforcing the law on top of a criminal investigation when it comes to capturing illegal immigrants. But here's the part. I love the administration. They're not folding. They're not apologizing. They're not backing down for enforcing federal law. In fact, they're doubling and tripling down. And I respect it because for once we actually got a president that said, yo, I'm going to do this, and actually did it on what they campaigned about. And yeah, mass deportations, that's a big promise. That's heavy. Most politicians would have backed off the moment the media cried foul. But not this time. They pushed forward hard, and so I support it because that's exactly what a lot of individuals voted for, such as American citizens. And let's not act brand new like this kind of conflict is happening because Democrats keep trying to shield illegal immigrants from ICE with sanctuary city policies like Minneapolis, like Chicago, like New York. They basically telling ICE, you can't operate here. So what happens? When ICE shows up to do their job, they're already walking into hostile territory. Like, imagine being a cop showing up to arrest a criminal, and the mayor of the city basically says, you are the problem. Like, bro, come on. How does that even make sense? And now you got the Democrat mayor of Minneapolis crying for help, crying for backup. Like, please make it stop. After an illegal immigrant allegedly ambushed ICE with a shovel, like a shovel, though? This is what y'all defending. This is who y'all risking everything for. Man, make it make sense. So yeah, this ain't about feelings. It's about consequences. And until these cities stop playing dumb and stop obstructing federal law, this kind of chaos gonna keep happening. But I want you guys not to take my word for it. I want you guys to check it out.
Back to Bill Malugin, by the way, he just got a statement from ICE. I have a copy of it myself now, Bill. What can you update us with? Because they gave very specifics. I'm looking at it right now as we speak. I'll let you report on it.
Yeah, Sean, I just got this literally 45 seconds ago. I'm just going to read it to you live. DHS says at 6:50 p.m. Central Time tonight, quote, federal law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted traffic stop in Minneapolis of an illegal alien from Venezuela who was released into the country by Joe Biden in 2022. In an attempt to evade arrest, the subject fled the scene in his vehicle and crashed into a parked car. The subject then fled on foot. The law enforcement officer caught up to the subject on foot and attempted to apprehend him when the subject began to resist and violently assault the officer. While the subject and law enforcement were in a struggle on the ground, two subjects came out of a nearby apartment and also attacked the law enforcement officer with a snow shovel and broom handle. As the officer was being ambushed and attacked by the two individuals, the original subject got loose and began striking the officer with a shovel or broomstick. Fearing for his life and safety as he was being ambushed by three individuals, the officer fired defensive shots to defend his life. The initial subject was hit in the leg. All three subjects ran back into the apartment and barricaded themselves inside. The attacked officer and subject are both in the hospital. Both attackers are in custody. This is another attack. This attack on another brave member of law enforcement took place while Minnesota's top leaders, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, are actively encouraging an organized resistance to ICE and federal law enforcement officers. Their hateful rhetoric and resistance against men and women who are simply trying to do their jobs must end. So a very lengthy statement there, Sean, but it sounds a whole lot more complicated than what we initially had, that this was one person involved with the shovel. It sounds like ICE was going after a Venezuelan illegal alien who had been caught and released at the border by the Biden administration in 2022. That person crashed into a parked car, got out and fled. ICE was chasing him down. And then while they were wrestling on the ground, two people came out of a nearby apartment and then started attacking the ICE officer with shovels. And during that ambush attack, that is when the officer pulled out his weapon, fired, and hit one of the suspects, who again is stable. So it sounds like the suspects are in custody, and this is being described to Fox News from DHS as yet another attack on ICE officers in Minneapolis, Sean.
Bill, that would certainly explain why the officer might have shot the individual in the leg, but being ambushed, attacked by two individuals, the original suspect gets loose, began striking the officer with a shovel or broomstick. Anybody would fear for their life in that moment. All three subjects ran back into the apartment, barricaded themselves. The attacked officer and subject are both in the hospital, both attackers in custody. Bill Malugin, thank you for that update and report. Please stand by. Hey, Sean Hannity here.
So you guys seen that? You heard it. Don't take my word for it. So now that we're on the same page about this, look, it's looking like yet another situation where ICE is just doing their job, not breaking no rules, not going rogue, just out here trying to arrest illegal immigrants like they're literally paid to do. And then boom, chaos breaks loose. The illegal tries to flee. Then out of nowhere, here come the captain saving illegal squad like it's a Marvel movie or something, jumping into ambush ICE agents like they the enemy. Then the actual illegal jumps back into swinging with a shovel, bruh. And this is like this is WWE and trying to get a steel chair moment. And now I don't know if the other people who jumped in were undocumented too, or some unhinged American citizens, probably some leftist activists who think fighting for some for some noble cause when really they just out here defending chaos. But I already know what the left is about to say, because they're going to sit up here and cry and say, oh, that's a shovel. That's not a deadly weapon. ICE overreacted. They should have just taken the beat, and like ICE officers are supposed to stand there and let themselves get jumped with construction tools in broad daylight. Like, what are we even talking about at this point? Right? Since when is that the bar? When is that the standard? We talking about the standard as grown folks, as adults here, right? That law enforcement got to wait until they get cracked in the skull or end up in a body bag before they can defend themselves. It's the same logic they use with the Renee Good situation to run over an ICE officer. And like I said, and I'm gonna keep saying it, if the ICE officer could have got out the way, he could have got out the way. Should have been there in the first place? No. And I stand on that. And you got leftist Twitter out here, well, now known as X, formerly known as Twitter, was out here acting like he wasn't hit. He did have internal bleeding. You guys could look it up. So when you look at that and the clown logic that's surrounded around this mess, which still doesn't justify chaos to continue to break out and attack individuals who are upholding national security for your safety as an American citizen and for legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants, that's emotional thinking. And that's exactly why people keep getting hurt, because we're living in this upside down world where law enforcement is treated like criminals and criminals are treated like victims. But let me tell you something. These folks going to keep testing ICE, and ICE is going to keep handing out consequences for your actions, right? Based on your own actions. And if you want to play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, as they say, right? And I'm not going to shed one single tear in this situation when it comes to the shovel if these actions are going to keep happening like that. Why would I shed a tear for a situation like this? The law enforcement officer for having the guts to go out there, kiss his family, and then go out there to enforce federal law for the national security of Americans, not knowing if he's going to come home the next day, get an attack with a shovel, possibly could lose his life. I give all my respect, and I always give my respect, the utmost respect for law enforcement. And thank you to all my law enforcement agencies and law enforcement individuals out there putting their life on the line every single day, just as my servicemen and servicewomen, right, in the military or any branches of service. That takes guts and the mental stability to be upheld as you walk into some heinous, criminal, mind-blowing situations, right? That you can't come back from what you've seen, that you can't unsee. All right. And when you look at all of this, these ain't folks who get emotional every single time CNN plays soft music and shows you a crying family, right? Because I've said this from day one. When Trump first got elected, this ain't for the weak-hearted. This ain't for the folks who get on emotional on CNN and play soft music and show crying families. This is immigration enforcement. It's hard. It's messy. It's emotional by design because they want to test you. They want to see if you'll break. They'll hit you with sob stories, show you the kids, play the violin soundtrack, and hope you'll fold. But I'm not folding. And if ICE got a job to do, let them do it, because if not, it's just going to be more chaos, more people getting hurt, and more consequences awarded, getting handed out. And that's just what it is. Because the simple fact is, leadership, and when it comes to being a president in any form of government, a mayor, a governor, you're not always going to be liked, but you have to have the best interests of the taxpayers, your constituents, American taxpayers. This is common sense stuff here. This is why I'm saying this ain't for the weak-hearted as a leader. And you will be tested as constituents to see for the individual you voted for that has your best interest and lobby the best interest for you and your family and the state and constituents all together in the country. This is the time where you will really see who really stood on making America great again, who is pro-America and for the best interests of American citizens and legal migrants to make the country better and greater and thriving, and who was anti-American, because that's what it's coming to. So you will be tested for what you voted for. And can you stand with that individual who has the characteristic of leadership to continue to do what they have campaigned on and promise you as a constituent? And can you stand by them like you did when you voted for them and not be emotional looking at every CNN skit is my point. Now, and I want to show you guys the next clip as we go on. Give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe and join the family if you haven't. If you're already part of the family, I appreciate you for rocking with me. Check this out.
What we're seeing right now is a split screen moment. A week ago, Renee Good was tragically killed while defending people like the people today
with the shovel
who were shot while attacking ICE with a shovel. That's what we are seeing right now. Exactly the kind of people that the Democrats writ large and the ICE Watch and all of the people who have such a problem with ICE arresting these absolute degenerates, this is what they are defending. Tim Walz put out a video recently, I believe it was today, in which he said, ICE is going door to door arresting our neighbors of color. And that is the sleight of hand that the Democrats have been doing over and over and over again, to act like people who are here illegally, who have committed very serious crimes, who should not be here, in the best case are driving down wages for working class Americans, in the worst case are pedophiles and murderers and other sorts of degenerates, that these are neighbors of color, as if this is like, you know, your neighbor who's of Hispanic descent or your black neighbor. They are erasing the difference between citizen and non-citizen in order to perpetuate this very dangerous situation and to get in the way of ICE actually doing what the American people voted for Donald Trump to do.
I agree. I agree. Like you gotta stand strong. You have to, because the moment you break, the second you give in a form of leadership, and I'm talking about the president in this case, in which Americans voted for, they take that crack and they blow it wide open, right? The second you just give in a little bit to this chaos, and if President Trump would concede and draw back when it comes to the ICE agents and stuff like that, because that's how the game works. You fold emotionally, boom. They use that as leverage to push the mass immigration agenda even harder. That's the plan. They fold with sad stories, nonstop headlines, emotional edits, crying kids, all of that. Not because they care, because they know if they pull your heartstrings long enough, you'll let your guard down. And the second you do, the side policy, the second you do, they slide policy through while everybody too busy crying to notice what's happening, and you can't fall for it, right? I ain't falling for it. I don't care how many sob stories when it comes to the simple fact of trying to push an agenda that's not true in a form of propaganda, because you're using a sob story instead of just holding up journalistic integrity and actually telling the whole truth, but you're taking a clip of a story to manipulate, and that's what I don't stand for. If the story is what the story, let the whole truth come out. If you're a journalist, discover the whole truth and let the people have their opinions of themselves, and let it be factual. As a journalist, you are supposed to uphold facts to the American people. And that's why I don't like the mainstream media when it comes to upholding the facts, because they continue to manipulate things in which they want to push a certain agenda at the cost of the American taxpayers or Americans, just in period, in legal migrants that don't even know what they're talking about half the time. They're just emotional. And when emotions trumps logic, you cannot think and see factually, because the whole time they're distracting you emotionally, they are logically having a strategic plan, let alone narrative, to go along with it to push, which then hurts you as a constituent, hurts you as an American citizen. See, the whole time you're standing on a principle of your principles, they are studying you as an American citizen, as a legal migrant, and they're sitting there seeing how can they use your principles against you to make you feel like they stand with you. And the whole time they're strategically using your principles to hurt you. I give you an example. Morally, am I for the ICE agent just stone blown killing Renee Good? No. But am I for an agent of chaos to impede into a criminal investigation when it comes to taking illegal immigrants out of the country? No, I don't stand for someone that's being an agent of chaos and impeding and interrupting a criminal investigation that's upholding the safety for everybody in our neighborhood, national security, and American citizens and legal migrant safety. We need safety in this country. We have other countries we're competing against that's jealous of us, that want to overthrow us. So, in the best interest, uphold that security, national security, uphold that safety for communities. I'm all for that. Morally. Now, morally, am I for an agent of chaos to run over a law enforcement individual, such as an ICE agent? No. If he could have got out the way, should he have morally? Yes. Should she been there in the first place? No. Morally. And that's what I'm saying. But they'll twist it. Oh, he just shot her and she didn't run him over. She was trying to do a 3-point turn. He just went up there and shot her, is what the media is telling you. Strategically playing on your morality, let alone principles and what you stand for. As in, I'm sure everybody, a good person, would stand for not killing somebody in cold blood. That's a criminal. But they're painting the ICE agent as killing this woman in cold blood, like she was just making a 3-point turn and trying to let traffic go by, and then she was just going to make a U-turn. It comes to find out, the Department of Homeland Security had to do the work of a journalist just to let the truth come out in regards of she was there way before, during the whole criminal investigation, during ICE doing their job, and she was impeding, let alone being an agent of chaos, obstruction, right? Do I have to look up obstruction for folks? And for people that get it, they get where I'm coming from, right? Obstruction, the action of obstructing or state of being obstructed, a barrier. She was being a barrier for not letting ICE agents get the illegal criminal or illegal immigrant in this case that came into the country illegally, getting them and taking them where they need to go and returning them back to their country. She was a barrier using her car as a barrier, an agent of chaos, to stop it. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the facts. She was there way before she started to use her car to hit him if she was trying to turn off or whatever the case may be. But they aren't telling you the part where he shot her and she was trying to turn off, and a way to manipulate you as if you shouldn't stand with a cold-blooded criminal that's went up there and shot her. They're twisting the story, and they're strategically doing that to tug on your heartstrings, to go against law enforcement officers, so then they can slide in their agenda. And I ain't falling for that, and you shouldn't either. And if you stand for the truth, hit the like button. If you get where I'm coming from, or you agree to disagree, let me know in the comments. We just having a conversation. But the policy has to stay strong. And when it comes to federal law, we have law and order for a reason. The border has to stay strong. And I know it's tough, especially because there's always the middle ground, right? The so-called independents that might be halfway buying into the propaganda. They start thinking, well, maybe ICE is being too harsh. Maybe there's another way. Nah, but that's the exactly type of softness that's got us in this mess in the first place. You can't enforce the law with a tissue box in your hand. These illegals obviously ain't going the way the soft way, because if they was, they would have self-deported on their own as an option that is given to them, let alone they get $2,000 or $3,000 to self-deport and they get some money just to leave the country. We're paying people to leave the country of the United States. And while this media is busy pushing feelings, the mainstream liberal media, I'm just staying focused on the facts. So with that being said, we can go ahead and listen to the next round of bullcrap. All right? And I want you guys to see, and you already know who, with MSNBC, now known as MS Now, and how they decide to cover this situation. Let's go.
Jen, that's right. We can't tell you exactly what unfolded in the moments before we arrived, but what I can tell you right now is that this is a very chaotic scene. I'm going to have my photographer pan over there and show you. They're setting off flashbangs here as protesters clash with these federal agents. We see folks wearing these ice vests. They've been shooting off these pepper balls, which is why this air is so smoky here. And actually the crowd managed to push back these federal agents. They started here. There were vehicles here and police tape. The crowd actually pushed them back a block. You can hear these folks screaming behind me. We're just going to move a little towards safety as these flashbangs continue here behind me. It's a very, very chaotic scene here. Just for 1 second, I want to let you see what's unfolding right behind me here in northern Minneapolis tonight. Jen, take a look.
So we can see, obviously, the smoke Jillian was referencing there.
Sorry, these flashbangs are continuing.
They're continuing there. Jillian, do you know, I mean, we learned of this because the city of Minneapolis tweeted that they had received reports of a shooting involving law enforcement. Have you learned anything more about that from local law enforcement? Who that involved? Were there civilians involved? Any more details at this point?
Unfortunately, we've reached out to the Minneapolis Police Department, PIO. We haven't heard back yet. All we've seen so far, and I will say that Mayor Frey retweeted that City of Minneapolis tweet. Unfortunately, so far, we haven't obtained other information about those reports of that shooting yet. We're waiting to learn more.
There are protesters. It seems to be, you tell us, though, you're standing there, protesters there as well, so people just walking by you on the street. They're clashing with the police there. Or tell us again or more about what's happening there that you see.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just behind me where you can see this stop sign at this intersection, originally you can see what remains of that police tape. There were two vehicles, a few vehicles here, and these federal agents lined up. Protesters and sort of what seemed like people who were in the area. We didn't see, of course, where exactly they came from, but approached these federal agents. Things became very tense. The crowd managed to push that line back behind. Those cars cleared out. We can't get much closer than this, unfortunately, and the pepper ball air remains here, which is why folks are coughing, and this clash continues.
It feels, we can't quite make it out in the video because it's so dark. Can you tell what agencies these law enforcement are from? Do they have any titles or names on the back of their gear they're wearing?
They did. We saw. That's right, Jen. We saw for sure some ICE agents that had the police ICE on their vests behind them. As far as the vehicles, I didn't see markings on those, but we do know that these are federal agents here tonight.
Jillian, I know you mentioned that the mayor retweeted. Have you seen any other elected officials? Have there been any other retweets or any other information you've seen from anyone else who's in any position of authority in Minneapolis?
Unfortunately, this is all unfolding so quickly. So far, we haven't yet seen other officials, at least on our end, weigh in here. What I can tell you is it's freezing here tonight, so it's surprising to see how many folks are out right now watching this unfold, interacting with these federal agents. But as far as elected officials, we're still waiting to hear more from them.
And there you have it, folks. So yeah, now we got woke Mayor Jacob Frey jumping in and putting his 2 cents into the mix. And let me tell you, it's giving panic mode. Man's basically begging for mercy, talking about you can't have 2 different law enforcement agencies operating in the same city. And you know what? One time, I guess you could say he's speaking with some sense, right? You can't have 2 law enforcement agencies working against each other, stepping on toes, refusing to cooperate. That's a receipt for chaos, a recipe for chaos, I should say. But here's where Frey completely misses the point. The solution ain't to stop ICE. It's to get your city in line with federal law. And that's what's supposed to happen. The feds are enforcing immigration law. That's their job. And if your city chooses to become a sanctuary zone where y'all tell ICE to stay out, refuse to help, and actively block arrests, you are the problem, Jacob Frey, not ICE. So yeah, we agree that division can't keep happening. But the fix is real simple. Stop fighting the law. Stop protecting illegal immigrants from getting deported. Work with ICE, not against them. But of course, Frey don't get that, right? He don't get that. He wants to cry about conflict and chaos that his own policies created. Man's acting like a firefighter who started a fire and now mad the fire department showed up with hoses. It's clown behavior. But I want you guys to take a look at what he said. Don't take my word for it. Check it out.
There's still a lot that we don't know at this time, but what I can tell you for certain is that this is not sustainable. This is an impossible situation that our city is presently being put in. And at the same time, we are trying to find a way forward to keep people safe, to protect our neighbors, to maintain order. And we're in a position right now where we have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors. We cannot be at a place right now in America where we have two governmental entities that are literally fighting one another. Why are we put in this position? We're put in this position because we have approximately 600 police officers in Minneapolis, far fewer that are able to work at any given time. So let's be very clear. I've seen conduct from ICE that is disgusting and is intolerable. If it were your city, it would be unacceptable there too. And for anyone that is taking the bait tonight, stop. That is not helpful. Go home. We cannot counter Donald Trump's chaos with our own brand of chaos. And I have seen thousands of people throughout our city peacefully protesting. For those that have peacefully protested, I applaud you. For those that are taking the bait, you are not helping, and you are not helping the undocumented immigrants in our city. You are not helping the people that call this place home. ICE can leave, and this massive deployment can come to an end. We have filed litigation to hopefully make it so, and at the same time, I'm deeply concerned that we don't have that kind of time. This is already the second shooting that we've had in a week. People are scared. The atmosphere is tense. But again, there is another option. We can stop going down this route together.
Solution is simple. You want this to stop? End the sanctuary city policies. That's it. That's the whole fix. If cities like Minneapolis just cooperate with ICE, we wouldn't even be having these conversations. You don't see this kind of drama in Florida. You don't see it in Texas. You don't see it in red states that actually cooperate with federal law enforcement. Why? Because they don't block ICE. They don't tie ICE's hands behind their back and then act surprised when things get messy. Mayor Frey even admitted that we can't have two law enforcement agencies at odds with each other. Okay, cool. We agree. So why are you fighting ICE? Why are you making their job harder? You could end this whole problem by simply doing your job and letting them do theirs. Let ICE into your jails, hold the illegals, you arrest until ICE can pick them up. That way, we don't have to send agents into neighborhoods, knocking on doors, chasing people down in the streets. But no, y'all refuse to do the easy thing, so now you got the hard thing. And Democrats can make it stop. They choose not to. And instead, they attack federal officers, obstruct operations, and then cry victim and run into the Victim Olympics when it all backfires. Nah, that's how this works. That's just going to make ICE come back stronger, and we got the resources. That's why you got to love the big, beautiful bill, right? Everybody want to hate on it, act like it was some kind of disaster, but that bill gave the Trump administration the money and the power to move without apology. You resist, we send more officers. You cry, we send more officers. You block us, we send even more. We send even more. You're not going to outlast the feds, especially when you are on the wrong side of the law. You are on the wrong side of the law, sir. That's bingo. That's the solution. If you want less ICE in your city, cooperate. It's that simple. If you don't want people getting their doors kicked in, if you don't want tensions and protests, and help us target the real criminals here. But if you're going to keep playing games, you're going to keep getting results you don't like because they're not stopping. They're not folding. They're going to enforce the law, period. You want peace? Then meet us at the table and stop fighting common sense. Because that's what I'm speaking here, common sense. But if you want to keep going the hard way, that's fine. Right? What my mama used to say, a hard head make a soft behind. Just understand this is the price. There are consequences, and you can't block federal law and think it's just going to slide. ICE isn't leaving. The people voted for this. We voted for mass deportations, the American people. They voted. We love to target the criminals, okay? The people voted for this, baby. We can only do that if y'all stop shielding them. Tom Homan warned everybody from day one. If you won't let us into your jails, we'll have no choice but to find these people in the streets. And y'all refused in Minneapolis, Jacob Frey. Like, bro, that's the federal government. They're not going to just they're not going to just not do their job because you feel uncomfortable. So the choice is clear. Cooperate or keep getting the consequences of your actions as a public official. The ball is in the Democrats' court, Jacob Frey court. And I'll be real, Mayor Frey, you're losing this one, bruh. You folded to the extremists. You let far left radicals dictate your city policies, and now you can't even protect your own law enforcement. So stop playing games. Just drop the sanctuary nonsense and embrace common sense for once. You do that, all this goes away. Everybody wins. But if not, then yeah, you're going to keep finding out. Let me know what y'all guys think down in the comments below. Subscribe and let's talk about it. As always, we just having a conversation. Spread that peace, love, and positivity. Let the love supersede the hate. I'll catch you the next one. Love you guys. Peace.